Hello there, folks. This is Octavian, and I am back with an episode of 100 Casts. It's been a little while since this series has seen the light of YouTube, shown up in subscription boxes, but we're back again. We're on to Summoner's Rift, and we are into your subscription box, I hope. And if we're not, hey, how about you go down below the video? There's a nice little rectangular red button. You can click that one, and then next time I make one of these, it will show up there. It's just like magic. Honestly, I don't know how it works. It's all a mystery to me, but I do know that it does work. It has proven reliably to work over and over again, so you can take my word for it. If you want to see the next video in this series, you go ahead and click that button, and you'll be notified. But let's get into the actual Shoutcast at hand here. There are some interesting things going on, some picks you don't see too often. This is a 100-cast replay, by the way, so it does mean that it is taken from anywhere in the ELO chain, anywhere from Bronze to Challenger, because I have viewers all over the spectrum. I have fans, friends, and other people. Actually, no. Everybody who sent me a replay has fallen into one of those two categories. So yeah, I have fans and friends all over the spectrum of ELO. This particular one, I believe, is somewhere sitting in the middle, around silver or gold level, if I recall correctly. So it's not uncommon to see some off-brand picks down in those levels. Things like perhaps the Doran's Ring starts Scion in top lane. I will be checking later on in the replay if he does indeed have AP masteries as well, because an AP Scion would be very interesting to see ever since his rework, pre-rework, used to be perfectly viable. Well, about as viable as anything you could do on Scion, which meant slightly viable. Pre-rework Scion was an interesting bit of design. In the mid lane, though, we do have two melee assassins, and they seem to be duking it out already. I do like Diana's level 1 a little bit better than Talon's, simply because of Diana's passive. It is so valuable just to have that extra source of damage at level 1. But Talon, once he gains a few levels under his belt, I think he might actually come out ahead in that 1v1. It is fairly close, as far as they go. As Mad Max lands a fully charged knock-up onto Marston. And, well, we might not see the full potential of this AP Scion. I'm sorry about that. Have you heard that in the background? I appear to still be logged into Mumble. I don't mean to be. Hopefully we don't get too many interruptions. There is a hook onto Open 24/7, though. He's getting pulled back by the Flay as well. Vodka going in heavy for this one. Wild Legend forced to drop the exhaust, and Open 24/7 pops the heal as well. Two summoners down, and none... Actually, no, Vodka did use the exhaust of his own, so 2-for-1 trade, though. That is perfectly fine. Mad Max going to get a pretty big shield off of that AP, and actually does land the very edge of that axe. And Truffleap gets leapt onto. Dagger over his head, causing him to bleed, and once again they trade about evenly in the mid lane, while Vodka, ooh, all the CC and all of the damage is coming his way, and he does not like it one bit. He's going to flash away after receiving the benefit of a heal from Sally A. Paul. Just about surviving there, and now summoners are actually even here, because the flash for Open 24/7 is also down. So there is a flash up on either side in the bottom lane, one for the support, one for the AD carry. Ooh, Truffley getting ignited. The dot is bleeding as well. Here comes James from over the wall, and Truffley, with too many things on top of his head, is going to fall for first blood. But Killer J is definitely going down here to Blazing Legend EX. With a knock-up and a red buff available, there is no escaping that, and even through the damage reduction from the taunt, Marston will fall to that auto-attack. Flash combo for Mad Max, 421. And let's see exactly how much AP this man has got. He's got 15, and the Doran's Ring gives 15, so he doesn't actually have... he doesn't actually have AP runes. I can't tell you if he's got Magic Pen. Seem to be doing some decent damage with that shield, but that may just be a result of the 15 AP. We'll have to see what he chooses to buy into off of this first back. Maybe he was just looking for the mana regen off of the Doran's Ring to spam Commanding Shout in lane. It looks like that was the case, because there's a Chain Vest built. Going for some early armor. Trying to counter out the Xin Zhao jungle, perhaps. Maybe expects to be camped up there in the top lane, as well as deal with the late game potential of Sally A. Paul on Vayne. Because that armor isn't going to help him in lane too much. It'll help against the minion aggro, and if he does choose to go for another tower dive, it'll be valuable. But Shen's damage output, what little of it there is mainly magical off of his passive damage boost and the Vorpal Blade spam. And now, of course, the Bammy Cinder tossed in there as well. Ooh, nice hook from Wild Legend onto Vodka. He's actually getting chunked very low. This is a very squishy Thresh because he did choose to go Ancient Coin start, but he has a lot of CC of his own. Open 24/7 will take the third chunk off of the Silver Bolts passive, and Salier Paul actually he's gonna keep on chasing. That is a very low health Nautilus, but we swap up to the top lane where Mad Max 421 has the early level 6 and is choosing to make good use of it. James the Asian coming in from the side doesn't quite land the Q. No! Doesn't have the range to keep going into Marston either. And now Blazing Legend X is here to try and turn this one around. James the Asian does not have level 6 yet, might not be able to kite this back, but Blazing Legend takes way too much aggro from the cannon minion wave. And James the Asian will finish off the work that the minions did. Pick up another kill for Red Team. Truffley might be in some trouble. Killer J choosing not to pop the ulti quite yet. Does not have Ignite up, doesn't want to commit to the full combo without that benefit of the extra damage from his summoners. Ooh, gets hit by another Q though. Truffley is having a good time actually landing those Qs, but he cannot compete with the wave clear that Talon is bringing to this lane. As it pushed up past mid all the time. Nice hook from Vodka onto Open 24/7 as soon as he comes back into lane. Salier Paul is going to turn some damage of his own. Gets exhausted though. And Wild Legend just has too much DPS. But through the minion wave, Open 24/7 just ignoring 2.5 waves worth of minions. Not to mention a Thresh will go down to Vodka. As we see Salier Paul escape by the skin of his teeth with a flash. Out of vision into the other bush. Wild Legend, you do not want to fight Vodka there. You will go down to those marauding minions just as much as Open 24/7 did. No respect at all for the minion waves in this game. Top lane, bottom lane, all over the place. I want to see a fight here between Truffley and Killer J. They are positioning for it. And we have both junglers nearby, so we might see something explode into action here. Looks like James the Asian smited that one because he did get the buff, but Killer J is getting leapt on by Truffley now from the side. There's a Shen ulti as well, but it's kind of wasted. Killer J able to sneak on out of there with his invisibility granted from that ulti. Pardon me. Ignite did not come down in time from Truffley. It does give vision. It would have been able to see him through the ulti, but wasn't there in time. And so Killer J X is able to get out of that. Oh, but maybe not for very long. The Ignite is now burning. He goes back in! No, he does get the kill in return. But there were still shields circling around that Diana if he hadn't chosen to go in. Diana still might have died if he had just ignited him from a distance. And he would have lived. He guaranteed the kill, but he also guaranteed his own death. He chose the path of bloody destruction, rather than the safer one. As Mad Max is now fairly handily winning this top lane against the Vampiric Scepter Shen. That's an unorthodox item choice, to say the least. I'll be interested to see where he builds that. Perhaps a Blade of the Rune King for the attack speed. Wild Legend, though, caught off to the side, gets condemned against the wall. And there is nothing he can do from there. An unfortunate missed anchor does pull him right into the middle of the enemy team, because if you hit the wall, you pull all the way to the anchor. If you hit the enemy, you pull the enemy halfway to you, you halfway to the enemy. Sometimes missing on Nautilus can be very, very punishing. Oh, James the Asian, recognizing that Vodka's going for the fight here, does cancel his base, but might have been the wrong call. Salier Paul has plenty of health to work with here. And despite the Assault and Batter, he will be able to force the flash away from the Vi as Killer Killer JX will roam to top lane and make some action happen onto the Shen. The Vampiric Scepter did not save his life. The lifesteal not proving valuable enough to outdo a 2v1. Though to be fair, nearly any item you bought there wouldn't have worked. As Truffley is winning in these 1v1 duels, mainly because of that shield reset. He's getting it every time. Tons of value out of that ability. Vodka just now getting tower aggro. That was very strange. He was sitting right outside of tower range that whole time. He still does go down, though. Blue Trinket from Open 24/7 makes sure there are no bush shenanigans from the Vayne. Still wants to back off, though. Afraid, perhaps, of a Xin Zhao nearby. Oh, Truffly's going to dive into the turret once again, but this time, likely will make it out with his life. He does have to flash. Threatening teleport comes in from side, and he's going to be following it up. He's coming in. He is charging forward. Truffly, no way to escape this one. Mad Max gets the kill. Commanding shout brings that one down. James the Asian going to be threateningly charging up his Q from the bush. Keeping the Vayne at bay. That roam from bottom does mean that there is a Jinx pounding away at the bottom lane tower, though. You might see the first tower of the game fall there. It is very easy to take those down as Jinx. Taunt from Marston X and the Mad Max, and the extra AD is actually doing a bunch of work here. Along with the AoE damage from the Bambi Cinder, he is slowly wearing this guy down and keeping his own health pool up while doing so in the 1v1. The Vampiric Scepter is certainly paying off, but I am once again forced to ask where he's going to be building that. I'm very interested to see. Speaking of builds, it looks like we're going to be having Diana rushing in to the Zhonya's Hourglass. Pretty much the only choice for her right here, seeing as there is a physical damage jungler and a physical damage mid laner, and of course Jinx as well. Zhonya's Hourglass just makes way too much sense here. Ooh, James the Asian knocking Sally A. Paul up in the air. Despite the condemn, there is no stopping Assault and Battery. Exhaust Flash from Wild Legend. They really want this kill. Flash from Open 24/7, but it does get secured by James the Asian, while Killer JX once again makes a journey to top lane, and once again has it pay off in the form of a kill. While we haven't seen him have a ton of luck in the 1v1s in the mid lane against Truffly, his roams have paid off, and the boots of mobility, of course, have paid off as a result of that. Able to get around the map more quickly and make those roaming plays happen. It would actually be interesting to see where Truffly goes with his boot choice. Could... Oh, Vodka. Vodka's in a very bad place. Truffly might be as well. Death Charge, you cannot escape from that. 4 forms of CC from Wild Legend, but thankfully, Marston X has a nice shield. Beautiful double taunts! Truffly gets the shutdown. Marston X coming up huge here. Does get slowed, though, both by the Rake and the Commanding Shout, but he is a very tanky gentleman indeed. And I don't think they're going to be able to bring him down. Well, they are not giving up on the chase, though. Open 24/7 is here as well. Toss a few rockets. Have his say in the duo. But it doesn't look like Marston X will be falling. Repeated usages of Feint, as well as his innate tankiness, will keep him alive. Ooh, Truffly! That was aggressive, but I suppose Sion's Q had just been used. And he wasn't too afraid of the Rake, I guess. So he went in onto Open 24/7 and he got about half of his health. Basically for free there, since the ulti did reset off of the Q. Pardon me, I seem to have something caught in my throat. But the cast must go on, no matter what my throat thinks. And I would just like to take a moment while the map has quieted down here. So many kills this game. 17 in just about 14 minutes. More than 1 minute. It's impressive. But I would like to take a moment to look over the team comps overall and try and perhaps play a little prediction game. See where we might see this game be going in the next few minutes. Oh, actually, I might have to get back to that. Mad Max 421 coming in on the Marston X. There's the ulti, but he just doesn't have the damage to deal with this Shen. Maybe over time, the W, though. Whew. The Doran's Ring AP paying off as he picks up the killing spree. 3-0-3. Mad Max 421 is doing some work on Sion this game. But as I was saying, team composition-wise, I just want to say right now that I'm really scared for Open 24/7. If I were playing that Jinx, I would be terrified. There's a Diana and a Xin Zhao on the enemy team that can, either one of them, have a Shen leaping in onto you right after they get in. Like, if they don't manage to kill Jinx during these team fights, there is something going wrong here. Truffly actually going to be turning this one around. He sees Blazing Legend X coming in from the side. The Zhonya's Hourglass is completed. So Killer JX, I keep putting the X's in the wrong spot. Killer JX is not going to be able to return the kill. Nicely timed Zhonya's from Truffly. Pulls the aggro and then nullifies it. James the Asian is coming back in for some action, though. He picks up the kill on a Blazing Legend X. The ulti in the bottom lane, the Super Mega Death Rocket, is not going to find a kill, as Truthfully turns back around onto James the Asian with the Ignite, with the Eclipse. There it is. Beautiful taunt. That is the Shen I was talking about. Vodka, just one more auto. No, Open 24/7 will not be able to reach it, not even with the rockets. And now we see Nautilus getting focused down. Eventually, Sally A. Paul flashes for this, and Wild Legend will fall. Ooh, action everywhere. I feel like I'm watching a B Hollywood movie. Just action, action, action. Let's see if we can find a sense of plot throughout it all, though. Actually, nope, gotta get back to that in a second. We have Killer JX going for yet another roam. Those boots of mobility certainly paying off for him here, especially if he can get the kill into Vodka. But now they aren't paying off anymore because he lost them. And he can't get them back because of the minion wave. No, he didn't have the movement speed to catch up. They helped him get down in time to kill the Vayne before she could base. But then they betrayed him and he could not get the double kill onto Thresh. Because if you do take damage, you lose the extra movement speed buff. Or take damage, or deal damage even. You lose the extra movement speed buff. That boots mobility give you. Marston X will turn around with a taunt. He's voluntarily opting into this fight, which may not have been the best idea. Mad Max 421 is going to turn around and be perfectly happy taking this one. He's got some magic resist under his belt now. And Marston X no longer can hurt him. And he's still going to opt into it. He goes with the taunt, he goes with the Q. Marston X is getting punished here. His bottom line turret will be the first one to fall for Red Team. Truthfully roaming down to try and stall out this play a little bit with a Zhonya's Hourglass once again placed beautifully. We do have another roam to the top lane by James the Asian. Will bring down Marston X. The bottom lane is a disaster zone right now. As an ill-advised gank blows up in Red Team's face and ends up in a dragon going over to blue. They do manage to trade out a top lane turret for it, getting a turret lead on the board. But they are still marginally behind in gold and certainly behind in dragons. This is anybody's game right now. And while I said I was scared for Open 24/7's Jinx, the same can be true of Sally A. Paul on Vayne. Mad Max 421, if he has a line of the sight, I suppose, a line of sight to the Vayne, he can easily get on in there with that ulti and make her day horrible. And James the Asian, there's actually a little bit of synergy that we may potentially see. I think it's unlikely, but we might potentially see it between James the Asian and Mad Max 421 here, because Vi's Assault and Battery on the way to the target will knock everyone out of the way. And then Mad Max could theoretically run down through behind the Vi through that like little channel of knocked around champions that was created. Okay, Marston. Misclick. We're gonna say misclick. Either that, or he really wanted Blazing Legend X to be very, very safe while taking the Wolf Camp. Yeah. We're gonna say misclick. Anyways, on top of that, Wild Legend can sort of knock people around with the depth charge as well. So they have ways, interestingly enough, they have ways of like creating a path for this Scion. I don't know if they're, because this is a solo queue game, so I don't know if there's going to be enough team communication involved to be able to make that happen. But if it ever accidentally happens, or if they ever do manage to see that little corner of their comp and work together enough to make it work, it could be absolutely gorgeous, and I really want to see that work, but I don't think we're going to. Vodka now in a 1v1 with Mad Max 421, a duel he really cannot take. This is very dangerous to send into the turret here. He has some teammates on the way. Sally A. Paul is going to tumble into the final hour. Vodka, barely surviving because of his shield, finally does go down, but at what cost? That is the shutdown goal going to Sally A. Paul, exactly where you do not want it if you are Red Team. Truthfully, with a bit more of an ill-advised Zhonya's Hourglass. Doesn't really prevent much, but James the Asian coming on in, trying to take advantage of that, will fall to Sally A. Paul. Sally is very much okay this game. And that was a Blade of the Ruined King. A little bit of a non sequitur. Marston X is good. Well, actually, no. Still, technically, he's not locked into the Blade of the Ruined King option. He could go Hextech Gunblade, which Shen does have decent AP ratios, but no. I really, really doubt that. Marston X now cannot survive this 1v1 against Killer Jays. Does some decent damage to the Vorpal Blade, but Killer J is doing so much more with that rake. Goes back in for the taunt. The Ignite is onto Marston. He's setting up for a gank here, but perhaps he got a little bit overzealous. No, truthfully, he ran the other way. Is the ulti reset? Oh, the Q lands. Whew. That was almost disaster for Truffy. But thankfully he does manage to land the Q. The last charge of W wasn't quite enough to get the kill. Even through the invisibility, it did connect, but he had barely just enough health to survive. Truffy will try and shield some of the damage coming through. The Q doesn't quite land because Mad Max knocked Truffy up once again, but it doesn't really matter. He's just going to be buying some time with the Zhonya's. Jinx ulti is on its way as well, actually. No! There's the Stand United! Mad Max 421 flashes under the turret to make sure that it gets secured. He does get slowed by the Bilgewater Cutlass, though. Here comes Blazing Legend X. Mano-a-mano of junglers, but it's not exactly fair since James the Asian had burned away most of his health in that gank. There's the hook on the Mad Max 421, but this is a very tanky Scion. Taunt as well. Nice layering of the CC there, but he's got the Merc Treads. He might be able to make it out of this one. Marston X will have taunt back up in a few seconds. Here comes the hook, but there it goes. Not landing. X Killer JX just about dodging it, but he doesn't dodge the taunt. Oh no, he's going to be the sacrificial lamb on the platter of blue team. No reason to be up that far. But sometimes you make a misstep. Sometimes you have something inexplicably caught in your throat, and you need to drink some water. Blue team is just Team Blade, isn't it? We have a Xin Zhao, the Blade of the Ruined King, and of course, Devour, Sated Devour at this point. Blade of the Ruined King plus Sated Devour is one of the most terrifying combos in the game, especially on somebody like Xin Zhao, who has an auto-attack reset, who has attack speed buffs. It can get terrifying. I would actually be interested to see where he goes with the rest of his build. He could go full glass cannon, get more on-hit items, and maybe grab a Wit's End. But that would be kind of very inefficient, due to the fact that there's not a lot of magic damage on their team. There's Diana, and that's about it. So the magic resistance stealing wouldn't be too valuable, and there's no magic damage on the enemy team. So the magic resistance wouldn't be that valuable. Nice! Condemn onto Killer J! Flash is forced from Sally A. Paul. But that was a very, very nicely placed condemn. Taking advantage of the fact that, what is it? Talon now, with Cutthroat, places himself behind the enemy, rather than where he used to place himself, which was, I believe, just a little bit in front of them, if I recall correctly. So he actually got condemned against the wall there as a result of a sort of semi-buff to his own ability. Though some Talon players, of course, call it not a buff. It's all about preference. Banshee's Veil is going to stop the hook from Vodka. Mad Max trades up once again. Just some very, very efficient health trading here from Mad Max. Nice! Around the corner, he lands the knock-up on the Blazing Legend X. Wild Legend will follow up as well. But it looks like Blue Team's Legend is just bringing more to the table here than Red Team's. Mad Max is forced to run away with his ulti rather than chasing in. It's always hilarious when he shouts cowards while doing that. Sally A. Paul with another great condemn on to Killer JX will keep himself alive. As Marston goes for the chase to open 24/7. Blazing, they're both gonna flash over the wall! They really wanted that kill. I was expecting Shen to taunt over, get some vision, go for, I don't know, the Bilgewater Cutlass slow. He didn't actually have that available, so now I look at it. I guess that was the only scenario in which they actually get the kill. Though they didn't both have to flash over. It could have just been Blazing Legend flashing over. That would have secured it. Or even just Marston flashing over, just one of them. But of course, this is solo queue. You go hard and hungry for those kills. And you don't talk to your team. There's no time. You have to kill the Jinx. Ooh, Anchor doesn't quite land. Dark Passage is there. And Truffy will get out scot-free. Possibly. No, Nautilus still coming around the corner. No, doesn't choose to go for the fight. Not enough backup. Cyan heading home to base. Jinx still pretty far away from that. Sally A. Paul, do you really want this 1v1? I mean, he's shown some good condemn play so far, and there's another one! Again taking advantage of the Condemned, Killer JX is forced to use his ulti to run away from the enemy AD carry. That is not where you want to be on Talon. Salier Paul with some great Condemn play this game. Over and over again onto the Talon. You'd think by this point he would learn, he would not fight near a wall, but Killer JX just has them killer instincts. He cannot do anything but fight. It is in his blood. By the way, for those of you not aware, it is a fairly new item. Sated Devourer is what's causing that sort of purplish oh, what is Marston doing? Why is he this far up? He's actually turning into Killer J. He has the extra attack speed and the damage from the Cutlass. He's doing some decent DPS here, but there's just too much CC. You cannot catch him under the turret. Generally speaking, you don't go for a 2v1 under the enemy turret at this point in the game, but Blazing Legend X is on a rampage, doing just that. Troopy, though, getting exhausted as he goes in. Double kill for Xin Zhao off to the side. This guy is a monster. Blazing Legend X is just wrecking face during this fight. Diana does go down, but oh my god. That is a scary Xin Zhao. He's not building any more damage. He's going with tanky items next, which I guess makes sense. He's doing so much damage he doesn't really need anymore. He's going to get that turret. He has no fear here. He's turning onto Mad Max 421. He has the lifesteal necessary. He knocks him up before the Q can charge. Vodka might pay for Blazing Legends since the why? Why did you throw the hook? No! No, you could have gotten away. You had the movement speed. He had been slowed down. He wasn't gonna catch you, and then you stopped for the hook, and that made you cast it, and so through the animation, he had enough time to land an auto. No. Vodka, why? High pressure situation, you just want to use your stuff. You want to do something to stop him. Stop the evil, scary zombie man from killing you in the butt. But, sometimes the best thing you can do to stop the zombie is nothing. Somebody should put that in a picture and frame it with some sort of inspirational background of some mountains in Sweden. Sometimes the best thing you can do to stop the zombie is nothing. Quotes to help you live a better life. That's just how I am, you know? I'm a life coach and a shoutcaster. Killer J and Open 24/7 both heading top. 24/7 does turn around. Smarter call there. You don't need two people farming out of top wave. Especially not when there's 4 members of the enemy team pushing up mid. Marston is taking this 1v1. Nice taunt through the invisibility. Guessed where he would go. He has the slow now from the Blade of the Ruined King. Why didn't he keep chasing? He could have. Well, he's still got the advantage there. Vodka now getting snared up. He does drop the box as a sort of desperation move, but there's too much damage coming through. Again, he lives with barely any health. This guy just refuses to die except for the times that he does, but usually he barely just about survives. Killer JX now with the Yumus and the Homeguards. What is that Xin Zhao? He put out so much damage in so little time with so little health. I guess he is 9-3-6. So credit to the guy. He is monstrous at this point. And I suppose the Blade of the Ruined King build, now that I think about it, on a teleport Shen, with of course Stand United on top. No, doesn't look like we have. Or do we? Do we have another fight? Are we going to see another Condemn? He's got the boots of mobility. He's going to be able to catch up. Got a red pot running as well. Lots of damage for this guy. Petrufi is off to the side. And there is a Shen ulti as well. If you wanted to pull this trigger, you should have done it so much earlier. Now you are caught out all alone and there is nothing you can do. Marston X will claim the kill. You gotta remember there's a Shen on the enemy team. Nobody's ever alone if Stand United is up. And that does make Killer JX's job so much harder. Not to mention, during a team fight, it even makes Wild Legends' job and James the Agent's job much harder. The focus, the single target focus on Red Team is helped really shut down in part by Marston X's Shen. Ooh, the taunt does quite land. Mad Max, rather, 421 is getting chunked down by these silver bolts. He can't survive another few. But Sally A. Paul was also taking a lot of damage, not only from the Thornmail, but also open 24/7. Marcinex now the focus of Red Team's ire. He's going to get exhausted, hit with bullets, hit with axes, hit with anchors. However tanky you are, however much of a ninja you are, you cannot survive that. 2-4-0 trade, actually. But as I was saying, the blade on Shen, I understand it a bit better now. He's not actually executing the strategy I would expect from this build, which is where you just sit in a side lane and you push as hard as you can, that extra attack speed, helping you take down turrets, helping you 1v1 people. And then the teleport and the ulti being the global presence you need to make up for that side lane. As the Asian's coming in, doesn't quite get the steal. Blazing Legend X will pick it up, that'll help him stack more City Devourers, but at what cost? They do keep their lead in Dragons. They give up 2 kills to open 24/7, which is exactly where Red Team needs them. Sitting on 2 items right now to the Vayne's 3.5. But he will pick up a pickaxe. A long sword looks to be going to a Last Whisper. Good choice for him. There's a good amount of armor on the enemy team. Marston X lands a nice taunt onto Wild Legend. Tower's focusing him down. He's definitely going to be falling here. Though he is a very tanky Nautilus, his shield will keep him alive. Now off to the side, Talon will pick up the kill onto Vayne. As Mad Max 421 gets flayed out of his Q, taunted under the turret, hooked as well, but he is just so tanky and he gets the benefit of the face of the mountain from Wild Legend. They're still going at it though. Play their own king. No. They will not chase any further. Yeah, I want to see Shen sit off in another lane. Now, to be fair, right now, both of his globals are down. I believe the ulti was just used to join into that particular skirmish. And teleport will be up in what looks to be about 20 seconds or so. It's hard to tell. I still can't actually check that, which is really annoying. But at an estimate, I'd say 15 or 20 seconds there. Very close to being up. As we have a push in the mid lane from Blue Team. And Shen is going to top, so if they can avoid a fight here, which they might not be able to do, actually. Killer JX, popping the Yumus. Doesn't quite have the speed to catch up to them, though. It'll be difficult to avoid a fight, though, is the problem with this strategy from Marston X, because James the Asian and Wild Legend can both engage a fight whenever they're in range. Just press the R button onto somebody squishy. There you go, you have a fight. And X-Killer JX is pretty good at engaging as well on Talon. And with Vodka perhaps getting caught out here, the rest of his team might be making a play. Though, no, I am very glad he canceled that teleport. That would have been certain death, but it does mean that it's down right now, and Blazing Legend X is going in. That was the wrong call. Marston X had to walk down to the fight, but Sally A. Paul might be able to clean it up, along with the damage from his friendly Diana. There's the knock up in the air from James the Asian. They are turning with their single target focus onto Sally A. Paul, but the shield is coming up huge from Marston X. Finally, he goes down, but the rest of Red Team has already fallen, except for Killer JX, who was sitting off in the mid lane and wasn't really present during that fight. Another reason why it sort of blew up in Red Team's face, even though it looked like they had the advantage at the start there. I mean, Blazing Legend X was just absolutely caught out in one of the worst places possible, right in the middle of everybody. And he's relatively tanky, but he's not that tanky. And then even more importantly than that, though, was the fact that Talon wasn't there to follow up off of the Assault and Battery, which meant that Vayne barely survived it, which meant that Marston X had time to use Stand United, keep the Vayne alive, and if you don't kill a Vayne, it doesn't matter if she has 200 health left. If you've got nothing left to kill her with, she is going to absolutely destroy your team at this point in the game. With 30 kills on the board for each team, with that much gold just flying around everywhere, Sally A. Paul is almost guaranteed to have the capability to clean up a team fight like that. You gotta have the talent to back up the Vi, or else Vi just goes in, gets about half of Vayne's health, and then loses all of hers. Just isn't a very good trade. Blue Team again pressuring the middle lane. Maybe looking for some sort of fight. Blazing Legend X going just right up into Mad Max's face. Hook flies out, but it lands onto a minion. As James the Asian is coming in, maybe going towards the back line, has the ulti available, but gets Gets burnt down before he even has a chance to use it. Mad Max 421 now turning around with the ulti of his own, but only lands into Vodka. Vodka, though, your team didn't want any more of that fight. Way too overzealous. Nothing to save you there. Wild Legend will finish off the kill, and this is becoming messy, messy, messy for both teams. Blazing Legend X getting hit by that big crit. He's moderately tanky, but he's missing a little bit of health. Just got a Giant's Belt to back that up. So these crits are kind of hurting, but he's going over the wall onto 24/7. The ulti from Marston will not be enough as the Flame Choppers held him up in place. No! No, he got the kill! How did he get the kill? He doesn't have Ignite. What? Did he have a red buff? He must have had a red buff. Okay, somebody tell me in the comments how he got that kill. Trophy, you've got a turret on you, man. You've got a turret on you, man. He's going to go down. He does dive, though. Marston picks up the kill. That Blade of the Ruined King damage helping him out. Wild Legends, you don't actually have an ally. You have an undead Mad Max. But you do have the ability to taunt, so... Really, who was the winner there? I'm actually asking. I cannot tell anymore. This game has become so messy. By both sides. 34 to 34 kills. Blue team does have the global advantage, which you would expect from a Shen team. Everything else remaining even, Shen will tilt the scales that way. Which is funny considering how his champion is all about balance. But hey. The champion may be about balance, but Riot sure isn't. Hey! That was an okay joke. I'll give myself 6 out of 10. I don't know if you're supposed to rate your own jokes, but 6 out of 10. Dragon goes down the red team without too much contest, seeing as the majority of blue is actually back in base there. So that'll give red team the second dragon, which isn't all that important at this point in the game, especially considering their position. They're not about to do much pushing. Maybe I'm about to eat my words as they're grouping as 4 in the mid lane. Considering Salier Paul is all the way down bot, they might actually rush for a Baron play here. Vodka's doing his best to control wards, but he only has that one paltry ward around the corner. They have no vision on this. This is all dark. Shen's teleporting into the Tribush behind. Salier Paul is still on the other side of the map, rushing as best he can to get up here. Marston X is going to try and interrupt, lands the taunt on Open 24/7 and absolutely destroys him. Blade of the Ruined King paying off in a huge way there. That extra damage came up big. James the Asian is going to try and salvage as much as he can with the Assault and Battery, but it does not matter. Salier Paul is here to clean up a kill or two. And Blazing Legend X will finish off Mad Max in an absolutely disastrous Baron attempt from Red Team. And now the Baron is turned on by Blue. No big surprise there. They've got a very good Baron taking team. Xin Zhao and Vayne could probably do it between the two of them. That's a pretty big swing in favor of Blue Team, especially considering they have the pushing advantage to begin with. Though if Marston X's globals are both down again, they always seem to be down at the least opportune moments. They could go for the 4-1 push here, but Marston X doesn't have any globals to back that up. No teleport, no ulti available. He's going to head on home back to base, actually, which is a little bit surprising, considering he is built fairly well for pushing turrets. Could have been here to make this go a little bit smoother. As it is, they might actually get engaged on here. Salier Paul is going to go down. Trophy will get a return kill, but he will fall as well. Almost certainly. Zhonya's Hourglass is popped. He's actually going to turn around into 24/7, but James the Asian, just for the added safety, will pop Assault and Battery to keep 24/7 alive. Still worth. 2-for-1 trade, and you get the inhibitor. I'd say it's worth. But maybe, with Shen there, they might have gotten out alive. I don't know. Something to consider. Your back timing is very, very important. Distortion Boots. Looking to get that teleport up as often as possible. So really investing hard into the split push strategy, but we haven't seen a ton of split pushing, which is odd. Blazing Legend X with the Frozen Mallet is going to keep Mad Max right where he wants him. Nice taunt! Beautiful. Not only did he interrupt the ulti and cancel him out of that, he also taunted him at the same time, kept him around. Really, really nice play by Marston. Vodka flashes forward, goes for the box, but it doesn't quite land as there is a Q, actually, from James the Asian. The box arming time getting the better of Vodka ever since that change on Thresh. Is he really going for this? He's going to go for this. Killer JX is around the wall, though. Oh, but Blazing Legend X is in the enemy base. Vodka has multiple minion waves to help him out here. And the Baron buff to top that all off. He does get the inhibitor turret, but maybe at the cost of another 2-for-1. James the Asian will go down. Blazing Legend X will fall, and Vodka, with no way out, will drop to open 24/7. And that seems to be a pattern here. Get objective, give 2-for-1. Get objective, give 2-for-1. I mean, if they keep going with this, they will eventually win the game. That is a fine way to do it, but it's not quite as reliable as the split-pushing Shen strategy, which we are now seeing come out up in the top lane. Yeah. Blade of the Ruined King to take down the turrets. Sunfire, Cape, and Thornmail to push the waves more quickly. If you catch the wave before it hits yours, the Thornmail will help DPS it down. And then the double global, plus the distortion boots to enhance the teleport global. Keeping pressure all day, every day. Whichever side lane he chooses. And he's actually able to make these 1v1s happen too, if they don't fly away to a wall on the back of an anchor. Which, to be fair, is not something you often consider someone will do, but Nautilus is full of surprises. Mad Max 421 has kind of been relegated to the mid lane here, on wave duty, using his own Sunfire Thornmail combo to keep this wave pushed out, but he's got a bit more of a difficult task doing it just because of the supers. Shen now roaming towards the mid lane, looking to add some pressure there, perhaps go to bottom. Yeah, it looks like he's going towards bottom. I'm focusing a lot on where this Shen is because it's the main advantage for blue team here. There's actually a lot of similarities between these two comps. Hyper carry plus a lot of single target focus on the enemy team. Diana and Xin Zhao versus the Jinx on one side, and Vi and Nautilus versus the Vayne on the other, along with the Talon as well. So they're very similar comps aside from the top laners. Mad Max does have some global pressure to match with the teleport, but he isn't quite as built for split pushing simply because of the Blade of the Ruined King in Shen's inventory. So the difference really between these two teams, the way that this game will be broken one way or the other, is Marston X, is what he chooses to do with his pressure, with his split pushing. Right now, he's going for a wolf camp, which may not be the most well-advised play, especially considering where the rest of his team is. But if they can make this pick happen, it might be worth it anyways. But there was so much more of the team there than Blazing Legend expected. Here comes Truffy from the side. The rest of his team is arriving. Marston X, with that extra global, will show up onto his team just in time to help bring down James the Asian. The sustain for Blazing Legend. When he gets the Sated Devourer double proc, he gets double lifesteal off of the Blade of the Ruined King. It is ridiculous. Marston X will taunt up, secure the kill onto the Scion, but Salier Paul does fall, overextending quite a bit. In the end, though, it may not even matter, as they have 4 members strong here. They don't have a Vayne, they do have a Xin Zhao, who I would actually say probably exceeds the Vayne in pushing power, and certainly exceeds the Vayne in cojones, leaping in onto X-Killer J. Dang. He had no fear at all, and it paid off. That is the victory for Blue Team. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time.